Well, talking about SpaceX and Elon Musk and everything else.
Yeah, we had some good news this last week.
Well, kind of.
What do you mean, kind of? It all worked out. It's all good. So, for those of you that don't know, earlier this week, SpaceX had a successful launch using a reused rocket. So, one of their major game plans was that their business model was to launch rockets, have them autonomously return and land on their barge or their launch pad in Florida, and then take that rocket that's been used once, refurbish it, refuel it, and launch it again. And they've demonstrated this in practice, but this was the first time they actually did it for profit. Someone hired them and said, we want to use the reusable rocket engine to get us to the International Space Station. And as of today they docked with the ISS and delivered their resupplies.
But they had a GPS issue.
Yeah, so I have a buddy. I'm not sure if you remember him. We can talk later. But he's working on that mission, the Dragon mission.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a GPS issue. They got it sort of worked out, tweaked out, fiddled with it, and they got it to work.
Good enough to dock.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll be going over the data and making sure it doesn't happen again.
So pretty much when they're done, the ISS is just going to dump this capsule off into space and call it good?
No, hell no. It'll come back. It comes back to Earth.
So it'll be reusable?
Yeah.
Okay. So those of you that don't know, this is the Falcon 9 rocket. Yep. These wonderful white pieces you see here are the actual legs that come out as the rocket lands.
Perfect 3-point landing.
Yeah, due to copyright stuff, I don't have videos. I was going to put some on, but I just don't want to take a chance of people getting upset.
Yeah.
But they're quite spectacular to watch. If you go to SpaceX's YouTube channel, they have awesome videos.
They are fantastic. And just think, 5-6 years ago, leading industry experts were saying, no way is anyone going to be able to land a used rocket portion on a barge on a flat surface that's out floating in the ocean. There's so many variables there.
Yeah.
And then turn around and reuse it and launch again. That was so outside the box. People have thought about it and said it's way too difficult and never again.
Well, they did start off the same way they did this week, is they landed it on a pad on land.
Yeah.
But he has the ability now. Took them several attempts, but to land it on a barge at sea.
Well, you say several, but less than 10?
I can think of at least 3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah, but for something that complicated and that difficult, I'm surprised it wasn't in the hundreds.
Well, and the big thing too is, okay, it blew up, but also keep in mind those are normally waste and thrown away anyways.
That's true. The normal practice is just to let them fall into the ocean and then go and recover them.
So it's cool. They've been very successful on land, and then for all of you Blue Dragon lovers out there, yes, Blue Dragon's cool. The Blue Dragon rocket is a fraction of the size.
That's true.
And can't do the payload this one can.
Blue Origin?
Was it Blue Origin or Blue Origin?
Blue Origin. Sorry. Jeff Bezos.
Sorry, my bad. But yeah, they were the first ones to actually complete a landing of a reused rocket. On land.
They did. There's some differences, but yeah, they did it. They were the first one to go up, launch, and come back and land shortly after SpaceX tried and failed. But it's a very different rocket. It's a lot smaller. It's a lot shorter, so you don't get quite the physics effects. Both are very impressive. I don't want to take anything away from either one. They're very impressive, and I wish them both success.
Now, the fun topic to talk about is if you watch these live streams, everybody loves talking about how attractive the people working at SpaceX are
yeah.
that are talking about these the whole time.
Well, how young they are, too. They're all in their 20s. They're all
Why not?
Mid-20s, because aerospace has traditionally been an old man's sort of area.
Yeah, old man.
Now, in the 60s and 70s, when it was brand new and space race was on and everything else, yeah, you had younger people going at it. But it's sort of stagnated, sort of plateaued.
So is he re-sparking the space race?
Absolutely. He's making space sexy again. A lot of people are interested just because SpaceX is doing really cool stuff.
They are. And that does include the catastrophic failures.
Yeah.
Where even the tip survives, but the shaft just completely blows up.
Well, what I thought was pretty interesting is you can see right over here over Bill Tipper's shoulder, that's the satellite payload that they were intending to launch. And I work on satellites very similar to this. And I watched it when it fell over. I cringed so hard because that thing is full of really, really powerful rocket fuel. And if you go online and you find this video, it's not hard to find. You see that thing land, it sets off a huge explosion. Huge.
Anyways. Yes, there's lots of phenomenal videos. Even the ones of it trying to land it. This didn't even launch. This was
a static
test
fire. It was a
yeah.
test. Yeah.
Like they strap it to the ground and just testing the rockets and
before they even got there as well, they were fueling for that test.
Yeah.
It happened, yeah. It was a bad disaster.
But the ones of it landing on the first few tests of it landing on the barge are also spectacular explosions.
They were so close so many times too.
Well, that's a fun thing to watch if you're into that kind of stuff. Like one of the first ones was that almost successfully landed, but the leg got so hot from the booster that it melted and it literally just toppled, slowly fell over. So it's been cool to watch that go through their learning curve.
In front of the public.
Literally in the public eye.
And that's been really cool.
Elon Musk don't give a fuck.
Yeah, and they put cameras on everything, so their videos, their live streams are really all inclusive. You can see a lot of stuff going on. It's really exciting.
They and GoPro are.
Yeah, but you don't see that on Arianespace launches, which are the French or the European Space Agency, or Orbital, or a whole lot of NASA launches, or you definitely don't see it on a Russian launch. So this is one of the very few times you get to see all the stages and all.
NASA's had enough black eyes throughout the years, I think.
But this is exciting. This gets people watching.
Well,
watch.
NASA had something else to show off this week.
That was true.
That they have found 7 Earth-sized planets in another, solar system?
Another solar system.
Billions of
How far away?
Somebody said with today's propulsion technology, it would take us 820,000 light years to get there.
No, that's not how you measure years.
820,000 years.
Sure. It's 40 million light years away. How's that for a long road trip?
Fuck.
So you're saying that light from that star takes 40 million years to get to us?
I just hope my cryogenic sleep keeps me asleep the whole time and doesn't wake me up like it did for Chris Pratt and Passengers.
Neil deGrasse, spoiler alert, by the way. Neil deGrasse
That's
Tyson.
the entire plot of the story. There's no spoiler there.
All right, so I was reading Twitter today. Neil deGrasse Tyson was commenting on this announcement from NASA. He says, for those of you that haven't paid attention, NASA has found 7 planets orbiting a dwarf star. They don't have names yet for the planets. He wanted to name them after the 7 dwarfs. Sleepy, Dopey, Shit-Eating Grin, whatever the rest of them are. I don't remember.
So what you're saying, the one we're going to live on is just Grumpy.
Grumpy, that's right. Grumpy.
So
all that traveling.
It's kind of interesting, though, how NASA has... So these are all artist renderings. These are not actually... You don't have a telescope powerful enough to actually see what these planets look like.
Let's establish it. These are just artist renderings. What we have is like a graph with little points and dots on it.
His head's in the way, but it says illustration right back down there.
Illustration.
But I do think it's neat that they took similar, well, in essence, perspectives of how our solar system is. The ones closer to the sun are hotter, more desert looking, and the farther you get away, they're more frozen, more...
Super hot, really cold. All right.
Yeah, Goldilocks situation right there.
But so NASA did say that of these 7 planets, they're all about Earth size, and that given the right atmospheric conditions, they're within the Goldilocks zone. They all could contain water.
So the real question is, though, you say it's a dwarf star. Like, what does that mean? How long until... Well, it took 840 million light years to get here for us to see this.
Just 40 million years to see the light.
So we don't really know. This star may have already imploded, and these planets may not even exist.
Probably not. I'd have to touch up on my life cycle of a star. I think dwarf stars still have a way to go before they even go.
The real question is, do they think this one's maybe younger or older than our sun, our dwarf star?
Probably older. I think it's cooler than our star.
Oh, okay.
I think.
So I thought this was another cool illustration of what we were talking about from hot with the steam, the ones farther away of being cold.
That's cool.
And then the Goldilocks zone, it's just water.
I didn't notice that. That is pretty cool.
An interesting little tidbit. Trying to get people in science. So another cool illustration they did here is actually the surface, or what they would assume the surface would be of one of these. You've got a few of them in front of you. What they keep showing a lot is it seems like these planets are really close together.
Yeah, I'd like to see the data. I didn't do too much of a deep dive into the raw data.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting what their orbits are like.
Elliptical.
If they're elliptical, then you could have thaw out. You could have your ice glaciers thaw out and then refreeze, and you have flows. It's tough. They're 40 million light years away. Okay, dude, it's hard to figure out. Give those NASA guys some credit.
Every day we can still get a new photo that's 40 million light years old, though.
Well, you just look up in the sky.
Yeah, means that was just happened 40 million light years ago, or 40, however the time conversion
40
is.
40 million years ago. 40 million light years away.
Yeah, that's confusing. But then how do you measure the speed? You're traveling. So if you're traveling the speed of light.
So here's an interesting conundrum. If you are traveling at the speed of light, you would experience no time.
I would show up and be the exact same age.
Yeah.
And I could live there. And
you wouldn't know time had passed. So
no, but I would, though.
The minute that, the instant that a photon is created at the center of a star, from the perspective of the photon, the minute that it's born to the minute it dies on the surface of Pluto is the same instant that particle is light. Because time and the way the equations break down, and according to theory and stuff, time stopped. The closer you get to it, the slower it is from where we are. Why time dilation and star travel and things like that all work out.
So if I travel the speed of light, I can go anywhere in our universe and be there instantly.
Yeah. From your perspective, not from my perspective. I would age tremendously waiting for you to get your ass over there, but you wouldn't know any time difference.
This is where it gets fun, because that's where it's confusing in the nomenclature, is that they've measured a distance with time.
With time.
And that's speed, ultimately. But then they're calling it a distance. That's where I'm always confused, because we take miles per hour, the distance over time. Kilometers per hour, all that kind of stuff. But now you're saying 40 million light years. And traveling the speed of light over years is what I'm hearing. So you say, okay, I'm traveling the speed of light. It's going to take me 40 million years to get there, which it may. But that's where the whole theory of relativity comes in, that my body just may not.
Yeah. It's Earth years.
It's true. That's also
yeah.
where ours goes around revolving around the sun. This year may only be 3 days. We don't know.
Yep.
So, well, speaking of little hidden mysteries, but we found on our own planet.
Yeah, I heard about this. Tell me more about this.
So they've somehow just discovered that these sections you see here that are outlining Australia, Indian region, and all these ones out in the middle of the ocean, and they're primarily focusing around here in New Zealand, these are actual bodies of land. They just happen to be underwater at this point in time. So what they're saying about like Zealandia here as an example, New Zealand that's currently above water were the mountain peaks and the mountain range of Zealandia, the continent of Zealandia. So that, in essence, just because of how our planet is aging and the water level's rising, most of Zealandia is underwater now.
So when we go through a deep freeze and ice caps grow, then
we may get Zealandia back. So, but if you also look, Antarctica was a lot bigger then too.
Yeah, but where are all these other places that, like the Kerguelen Peninsula, the Antawajala,
so how they measured these was actual density of soil and land on top of the crust. That these actually mimic bodies of land that we live on. They happen to be a low elevation.
Okay, so where is Atlantis?
We don't know.
All right.
But the other confusing thing about it all is, if you think about it, and going off of this, our measurement of sea level is constantly changing.
Sure.
So these people measure sea level was 1,000 feet lower.
Yeah. And now with global warming, we're expecting it to rise.
But Denver is no longer a mile-high city.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's kind of an interesting topic, kind of cool. Maybe an eighth continent. Who knows?
I doubt it.
Hey, because of global warming and we like our cars, we're just going to melt everything.
Yeah. California's
going to fall into the Pacific Ocean anyways.
I heard a rumor that the Pluto discussion may be coming back on the table. Did you hear that?
Oh, that happened. That's been discussion's been going for a while.